Welcome to Snoozing Little Cloud. Here you will discover new stories, profound lessons, and fantastic adventures. If you like them, remember to support us by subscribing to the channel and activating the bell. Now make yourself comfortable, close your eyes, and let's begin the journey. Chapter 9. The next morning, guided by the memory of Thalassodoros' gesture, Nikos and Philon entered the forest. There, the light filtered through in 1,000 green reflections, as if inside a natural cathedral. Each step opened up new scenes, clearings surrounded by giant trees, colorful flowers as big as shields, luminous insects moving in small groups as if following an invisible choreography. After hours of walking, the path widened, revealing an immense valley. And there, Nikos stopped, unable to speak. In front of them, arranged like statues forgotten by time, were enormous, petrified animals. They were not monsters. They looked like ancient creatures, powerful and immobile, as if asleep on their feet. Some resembled real animals, bison, deer, wolves, but with gigantic proportions and mythical features, spiral horns, stony coats, amber-colored glass eyes. The valley was silent, but not a dead silence. It was a silence that seemed to hold its breath. "They're not statues," said Philon. "They're silent giants. Creatures that fell into a deep sleep to protect something. No one knows why they fell asleep or when they will wake up." Nikos approached the smallest of the giants, a huge stone wolf with its muzzle turned toward the sky. He placed a hand on its paw. It was cold, but beneath the surface, he seemed to feel a vibration from time to time, like a distant heartbeat. "They seem sad," whispered Nikos. "Maybe they're waiting for something, or someone." Suddenly, the ground vibrated slightly. From behind one of the giants emerged a small form, very small compared to the giants of the valley. It was an animal he had never seen before, as long as an arm, with large shiny eyes, round ears, and skin covered with soft fur that changed color depending on the light. A small curled tail, feathered at the tip, swayed curiously. The cub looked at Nikos and approached him. Philon smiled. "Looks like you've made a friend." The little animal jumped on the boy, light as a feather, and curled up on his lap, making a sound that was a mixture of a whistle and a happy growl. Nikos laughed as the little creature sniffed his hair and nibbled his sleeve as if it had known him forever. "I'll call you Miro, because your eyes see into things." Miro made a cheerful sound as if approving of the name. "Maybe he can show us the heart of the island," said Philon. Nikos looked at him, holding Miro close to his chest. At that moment, he realized that their journey had just entered a new beginning. Chapter 10. Night was slowly falling, like a large blue cloak gently settling over the world. Nikos and Philon had now spent several hours exploring the mysterious primordial island, guided only by their footsteps and the rustling of the giant branches swaying above them. They walked slowly, almost on tiptoe, as if afraid of waking a giant animal sleeping around them. And perhaps in a sense that was indeed the case. The island was breathing. Not in the way a human being breathes, but in a deep, slow rhythm. The wind inhaled through the leaves, the bushes moved like a rising chest, and every time the air came out, the ground vibrated with a low murmur, like an ancient song. "Can you hear that, Philon?" whispered Nikos as he stopped to listen. "Yes, it's as if everything has a soul." Simple words, but they slipped into the evening like quiet drops of water. They continued until they reached a circular clearing, lit by small amber fireflies. In the center, a large tree with intertwined roots formed almost a natural throne. And on that throne, there was something. A small, strange, quiet animal. It looked half like a puppy and half like a creature imagined in children's dreams. Wheat-colored fur, huge, deep eyes, ears as long as newly blossomed leaves. It slept deeply, its chest moving gently, following the island's breath. Nikos stood still, not out of fear, out of wonder. The little creature opened one eye, then the other, and instead of running away, it stretched like a sleepy cat, making a sound like a soft, velvety chirp. "Hello," whispered Nikos, almost afraid of breaking the spell. The little creature tilted its head, looked at him for a moment, and then slowly approached him. It rested its little nose on his hand, as if trying to understand who he was. And in that simple, fragile gesture, Nikos felt something inside him, a sense of deep peace, the kind of calm you only feel when you finally feel in the right place. Philon watched the scene with a slight smile. "I think it has chosen you." Nikos nodded slowly. No other words were needed. The three of them sat in the clearing as night continued to fall. Fireflies drew small circles of light in the air. The wind carried a sweet smell of flowers and resin. And the island, the great breath of the island, seemed to accompany the three newly united travelers, like a lullaby born thousands of years ago. At that moment, Nikos understood something simple but luminous. Every important journey not only takes you to a new place, but also to someone you were looking for without knowing it. And with that warm thought in his chest, he closed his eyes for a moment. The little creature fell asleep against him. The world seemed to stand still, quiet, gentle. Chapter 11. The morning on the island dawned slowly, like a thought awakening. Light filtered through the enormous leaves, so large they looked like motionless sails, and each ray drew golden lines on the ground that swayed gently, rocked by the wind. Nikos, Philon, and the little animal, which now followed them everywhere, curious as only newly encountered beings can be, made their way along a barely discernible path. It was not a marked trail. It was more of a sensation, a direction suggested by the sounds of the forest, as if the island itself wanted to guide them. Nikos's little friend emitted a soft, vibrant chirp, almost a murmur, and every now and then stopped to observe a flower or a shiny tree trunk, as if it wanted to share a secret with them. The forest seemed alive, but not in a disturbing way. Alive in the most ancient, most natural sense. Every leaf, every shadow, every rustle seemed to belong to a common breath, a single great being watching over them and welcoming them. Philon walked in silence. He was struck by the vastness of the place, by its majestic slowness. Here, no creature hurried. Everything proceeded at a quiet, inevitable pace, like time, which no one can force. After a long walk, they came to a large, round clearing with a large tree in the center. Its roots emerged from the ground like stone arms, and the trunk was so wide that Nikos could not have embraced it, even with his arms fully outstretched. The little animal jumped forward and climbed onto a root, stopping to look at Nikos. It seemed to be inviting him. Nikos approached slowly, placed a hand on the wood, and felt something. Not a voice, not a sound, but a deep peace, like when you listen to the sea from afar. Philon watched the boy, and a serene smile crossed his face. "What do you feel, Nikos?" he asked. The young man remained for a moment with his eyes closed, breathing. It's as if this tree knows everything we've been through, he murmured. And it doesn't judge me. It doesn't ask me anything. It accepts me. Philon nodded slowly, as if recognizing an ancient truth. Nature doesn't demand, it offers. And when we learn to listen to it, it reminds us of what we often forget. That the value of who we are does not depend on what we do, but on how we choose to remain. Nikos' little friend made a soft, almost approving sound and curled up on the roots. The boy sat down next to him, feeling completely safe for the first time in days. The wind slowed down. The world seemed to breathe with them, and the lesson of the day was simple, profound, silent. Sometimes you just need to stop, listen, and let the world welcome you in order to find your direction again. The forest, with all its ancient patience, cradled them in a soft, almost sacred silence. A silence that spoke more than 1,000 words. Chapter 12. The clearing slowly faded behind them as Nikos, Philon, and their little companion entered a part of the forest they had never seen before. Here, the light changed color. No longer golden, but silvery, as if the sun were filtering through a thin veil of luminous mist. The ground became soft and damp, and soon small pools of water appeared, scattered like fragments of the overturned sky. Each pool reflected not only the shape of their faces, but slight nuances that did not entirely belong to reality. A slightly different smile, a darker shadow, a dream not yet lived. Nikos bent over one of the pools. He saw himself, but bigger. A mature Nikos, with the little animal on his shoulder and a confident, calm, aware expression. The boy held his breath. Philon, why do I see a different me? The man watched the scene with respect, as if the forest were offering something precious. These mirrors do not show what we are, but what we could become, he explained. Every choice we make opens a path, and some paths, however distant, are already written within us. Nikos remained silent. The little animal approached the pool and also saw a different reflection of himself, an adult being with larger wings, capable of flying high above the island. He made a sweet, almost emotional sound. They continued along the path of reflections, passing other pools. In one, Philon saw himself as a young man, full of enthusiasm and impulsiveness. In another, the forest showed them a future where the island was in bloom, more lush than ever before. Each image was a fragment, a suggestion, an invitation to grow. When they reached the last pool, it was different from all the others. The water was completely still, perfect as crystal, and in the reflection, they saw neither the past nor the future, only the present, only themselves exactly as they were. Philon knelt down. Here is the most important truth, he said in a soft tone, almost a whisper. There is no better future. If we do not learn to live well today, the present is the first step towards everything we can become. The wind in the forest seemed to nod, rustling the leaves with a peaceful whisper. Nikos sat down next to the pool, the little animal in his arms. He felt calm descend upon him, like a blanket of light. The lesson of the path of reflections was clear and sweet as a dream. There is no need to rush to grow up. Just live one step at a time. And as the silvery light continued to dance on the water, the three companions resumed their journey, lighter, more present, more united. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed it and would like to hear more, please like and subscribe to the channel. Now, Take a deep breath and relax. Good night.